There's a better way. We can be a better people. We can make a better world. Welcome to the BN Podcast, where our goal is to solve all the world's problems. You laugh, but think about it. People's actions follow from their emotions and their attitudes. At the root of every single problem in the world, from conflict and climate change to workplace stress and road rage, are people acting out of fear, greed, and division. That is what we have to change. Our evolution is the revolution. The BEAN events are designed to normalize understanding, love, and unity worldwide. The next one is coming up fast. Be Enjoy Boston is May 10th, 12 to 4 on the Boston Common near the Parkman Bandstand. You can find out more about this and our initiative at www.b-in.life. That's B like B-E -in.life. And I am your host, Jennifer Sullivan. Today, we have the extreme pleasure of welcoming Manny Lopez to the show. Manny is a passionate educator, speaker, and advocate for turning adversity into opportunity. Growing up in the foster care system and facing homelessness twice by the age of 25, Manny's early life was marked by instability and hardship. But instead of letting those experiences beat him down, he used them to fuel and create lasting change for himself and for others. Today, he's the founder of MANNYfestation School of Business, a gamified education platform designed to empower young people, especially those aging out of foster care, with mentorship, entrepreneurship, skills, and a mindset, which is probably the most important thing, rooted in service and resilience. Through his mission-driven work and from Orphan to CEO initiative, Manny is building a bridge from survival to success for the next generation. Welcome, Manny. Thank you so much for being here.
Excited. Let's get this party started.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so let's just start with your story, right? You've got your story is from orphan to CEO, and it's incredibly powerful. Can you kind of take us back on your journey and what things looked like in the beginning and what kept you going through those hardest moments?
Sure. So, I was left in a car at 18 months, me and my sister. And shortly after that experience, we were put into the foster care system where we spent years suffering malnutrition, abuse, neglect. And, our journey, kind of has a similar path initially, but we kind of go a different route as we get older.
Mm.
And I think what the biggest difference for me was finding mentorship. Found somebody who was doing the things I wanted in life and achieved the things I wanted to achieve and was willing to teach me that path. And I think that's the biggest difference maker that we can do for kids that feel lost. Because for years I felt lost. For 20 plus years, I didn't really feel worthy that I could create success. I could be something of value. And, it's been told many, many times as I was growing up that, that's not for me. And we hear that a lot in our lives. And when I found somebody who told me the opposite, it said, yeah, you could definitely do that. Here's how. That's where things really shifted. And that's what I teach in our school. That's what I'm teaching through my events. It's that power of positivity by understanding there are people that are willing to show you the way.
That is such a big deal, having that role model and someone to give you advice because they were where you are and now they are where you want to be. So how has your experience in the foster care system shaped your definition of success and of service?
Well, I look at it as it's a problem that still needs fixing today, right? I went from home to home with a trash bag. 30 years later, they're still doing the same thing. They're sending these kids home to home with a trash bag. That's their life's belongings. How valuable do you think they feel going to that new home with not even a duffel bag, not even a backpack? It's trash bag. What do we do with trash? With trash bags, it's not like we keep them and we cherish them. No, they're thrown away. And this is where a lot of these kids feel. They felt like they've been thrown away. And I felt that way. I felt like an unwanted birthday toy when I kept getting returned. I was adopted 7 different times and returned 7 different times. And, looking at that kind of journey, for me, I was, I guess, a little hardened to the experience where I blocked a lot of it out. But a lot of these kids that I meet that are in the foster care system or these foster parents that, have been on these journeys before. It's challenging for them and they don't understand how to get around it. And personal development was a huge factor to me. I started going to business events and conferences and finally finding a journey through entrepreneurship that shifted my thinking, where it was just not an idea of lack, but an idea that there is a massive abundance of possibilities and opportunities if you just walk through the right doors. And so I just kept finding a way to get through another door and meeting another person. And that snowball effect of opportunities and the things that happened with me that really shifted. That's kind of that keyword that just shift in the thinking, that I went from not possible to very much possible.
So a journey like that takes confidence. I don't think someone who doesn't have a lot of confidence will have the motivation because they don't feel like they are worth it.
Yeah.
How did you come? I mean, like you were just saying, kids' stuff is in trash bags. You're told
Yeah.
that you're not worthy. How did you go from there to the confidence it took to get
Definitely
where
mentorship.
you are?
It was
That's
it was
mentorship
finding
too.
somebody that really spoke life to me and showed me that there is a way for you to do it. And here's how. Once I started actually getting the results I wanted, that's where the confidence came
Mm.
through. Because I originally laughed at him. It's a guy named Gail, who's my first mentor. And he was my manager at a place I had worked at. I had just became a new father. So I'm trying to find stability, not just jumping job to job. And he's like, you can be where I'm at. He had a 6-figure plus income already. He was checking off a lot of the boxes I would only be able to dream of. And he said, here's how to do it. And we put faith as a foundation. So every day we would come to work and we'd pray before we even start the day.
Mhm.
We started looking at just following a process of results. And
Mhm.
then once I started getting the results, I mean, within a couple of months, I'm number one at the company. And I stayed that way for almost a full year. I ended up becoming like salesman of the year at that company. And it was a really enlightening experience to know that I can do what is possible for me that I thought was nowhere near achievable. And that mentorship is what changed everything. It's finding somebody who has already been where you wanting to go. They're willing to teach you the way, and they have a similar background to you, or at least they can show you ways that you can relate to. He showed me a guy by the name of Les Brown. Because when I laughed at him, I said, the funniest thing is when I didn't get the opportunity I was looking for at that company, he sits me down and he says, it's time for you to build your own dream and stop waiting for permission to build someone else's. And that was a huge, huge light bulb to me. And I originally laughed at him because I was like, dude, they won't even let me be a manager at this company, but I'm supposed to be my own boss. I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur, right? And he shows me this video of Les Brown speaking at the Georgia Dome. It's like 80,000 people. And I'm thinking first he's just trying to show me a motivational video. I'm like, I don't really need a motivational video right now, Gail. I'm kind of feeling down because I didn't get this opportunity that I was totally thinking I was going to get. He goes, no, that guy is actually very similar to you. He's an entrepreneur. Comes from foster care. He had challenges in school. So like all of these different things where I thought was not possible for me because of my upbringing. Well, I come from foster care. I was worthless. I was unwanted. I've been disowned by family. How can I possibly create success? And he showed me, well, here's examples of it. Here's other people that have your life story, Manny. And here's what they did with those deck of cards that they were dealt. What are you going to do with yours? That's that was it. That was a big light bulb.
That's huge. That's huge. Like even me hearing that, I'm like getting goosebumps. Like, wow. Um, okay, so now you're turning that around and you're offering mentorship to kids, especially those aging out of foster care. Do you want to tell us a little bit about, because I don't think most people are aware of the predicament
Yeah.
of the foster kids as they go through the system, but then as they age out.
Well, here's some stats, right? So 2 out of 3 of these kids that age out of foster care, meaning they've never been adopted or they were adopted and returned and they never actually got a family that they could call their own. They age out, they turn of a certain age and now they're adults with all of the resources that the foster care system gives them. Well, 2 out of 3 of these kids within just 1 year are either dead, homeless, or in jail. You have 60% of the sex trafficking victims coming from foster care. And the rate of them being even college graduates is like under 5%. It's really bad. There's a lot of difficulties for them that they don't have the know-how or the resources to figure it out. And so what I did in 2017 is I started a program called From Orphan to CEO. At that point, I was already a paid consultant to over 1,000 brands worldwide. Named one of the best by Facebook, featured in Huffington Post, NBC, a lot of these different things where I could say, okay, I've created some track record of success. What would I be able to teach my younger self? If I started all over again, would there be some way that I could teach them to do something? And so that's where my program came about. I said, okay, well, I have a story that I can relate to. And if there's someone like me there, well, they can relate to me. What if I go find other entrepreneurs that have a journey themselves, have a backstory of themselves that they've endured? And once I started interviewing a bunch of these different people, I mean, I've done over 700 interviews at this point, and I'm asking about their journey and their story. And I'm like, there's a very little amount of people that have just gone through life on easy mode. A lot of these people have difficult backgrounds. Some come from foster care, some come from abuse, some come from, complete chaos. And I'm asking them to share their stories while also sharing their journey of entrepreneurship and what they do and what they specialize in. So that is in essence what my program is. It's a collection of interviews that my students are rewarded to go watch. They say, okay, I want to learn about TikTok, right? How do I start a business on TikTok? Okay, well, let me have you learn from this TikTok specialist, but here's also their journey that you may be able to relate to. They grew up in an abusive household. They had a drunk father, or, a lot of these different things where these kids can very much relate to. And that's in essence what my program is. It's getting them to learn about mentorship, entrepreneurship, and faith by people who are active in the industries they teach, who also have a journey to their life and their entrepreneur journey.
That's amazing. So I think that entrepreneurship can often, as a entrepreneur myself, a sometime entrepreneur myself, it can feel like you're all on like a solo mission. So how do you teach people to stay grounded in like a community and collaboration, even when they're building something on their own?
You got to find people that are in both realms of business, people that are behind you that you could teach. So that gives you that ability to feel like, hey, I'm providing value. And then people that you learn from that are at places that you want to go. You got to be at networking events. You got to be at business seminars. You got to learn from people that have the results that you want, because that's going to shortcut the learning curve, right? It's like going through a maze, right? If you walk through a maze and you've never been through that maze before, you're going to get stuck. You're going to find a couple of walls that are going to be like, oops, I went the wrong way. I got to turn around and figure this out. But if you go in that maze with somebody who's already been through it 100 times and now is timing themselves how fast they can get out of it, you're going to get through that maze a lot faster just hanging on to them, right? And then you look back for the people that are going through that maze for the first time. Once you've gone through it, now you can bring them along that journey. So it brings you that fulfillment. That was me in 2017 when I first started my program. I had already checked off a lot of these boxes. I'm a best-selling author. I'm doing all these different things, but I didn't really feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was creating real success. And that's why I said, okay, I need to do something different. I need to create something that has real value that I'm just doing completely free. Like my From Orphan to CEO program, we take in no revenue. We have no donations, no sponsorships, no investors. I fund it completely out of pocket. And for my students, it is 100% completely free. They pay nothing. They get to go to school. get paid to go to school. We tokenize the process so our students actually get rewarded to learn, and then they could use what they've earned to unlock opportunities what the members are learning from. My contributors in our platform are like, heck yeah, we'll let your students come through internship programs. We'll pay for them to go through our industry and education. We'll pay to go to college. We'll fund them to do this. We'll get them started in their business. So you're getting just a lot of people that love collaboration and love serving their way to success.
Mm-hmm.
Surround yourself with people like that, and you'll see how much life changes.
That's, I think, a very powerful lesson for people to learn. We're as a our motto is be present, be peaceful, be powerful. And the power that I'm referring to is the power of unity. And what you just said really embodies that, the idea of collaborating and finding, but also people who are willing to give to give. You see so much in this world that people are like, okay, yeah, I'll give, but I need to get something in return. And you're like, that's barter. But it's amazing that not only have you found people, but you found these amazing people who are willing to collaborate with you on this project. How did you find them?
It's a lot of searching. It's a lot of just phone calls, meetings, handshaking. I mean, I've got close to 2,000 people on my do not collaborate list that I've filtered out because they are not about serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to come across a lot of people. I would say, I mean, depending on where you're fishing your nets from, right? But I would say it's probably close to like 50-50. People I meet where every 10 people I meet, 5 of them go on the do not connect and collaborate with list.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 of them are like, they really like the idea. They're all about service and they're willing to put in the effort, right? And there does have to be some reciprocal value. Kind of the
Well,
way I
yes.
build it in my network is there's completely free ways to access my process and how I get results.
Mm-hmm.
There's also paid ways to do it where I can speed up the process for you. But as long as there's a way for people to learn through free methods, that's where I found the right people, where they're willing to share the secret sauce. Like I don't like at my events, they're not selling when they get on my stage. They're serving first. They give value. They share their resources. They share their process. I look for speakers that are okay with not getting paid to get on stage, are okay with not selling in the back of the room at my events. If they're okay with that, you're going to do very well in my network, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that love to contribute, but they're not trying to bring them to a website to go buy their course, right?
Right.
So that has been a very good filter is when I look for people that want to be on our platform, I look for people who are very happy not to sell. That's been kind of the biggest key difference because you would do these events and they're like, oh, I'd definitely come down there. I'll speak to your audience and speak to your people, but I'm going to have order forms in the back of the room. I'm like, probably not going to be a good fit, right?
Right.
Or
Mm-hmm.
they're like, hey, I'll come speak at your event, but you need to pay this, and this for me to come do that. And I'm like, dude, I get Les Brown to come speak at my events, and he's never charged me a speaker fee. I've had the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation come out to my events and speak on our stages, physical events, and they're not asking for a speaker fee because they see the value of serving others and
Yeah.
they want to do that before they leave their time on earth. I mean, the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Shankowitz, he's passed on now, but his last years in life were just serving others as much as he possibly could. So I look for people who are truly about service and they're willing to put in the effort to do so. And there's definitely reciprocal value because I can create something of value in return, but it's not expected. It's something that just becomes a cherry on top to the value that we're doing.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um, so what's your vision for Manifestation and from Orphan to CEO, that initiative over the next few years?
I want to see that statistic reversed. The 2 out of 3 that are dead, homeless, or in jail. I want to see 2 out of 3 of these kids that are aging out have mentors.
Mm.
They understand entrepreneurship and they own their own business so they can build their own dream versus waiting for permission to build someone else's. I remember when I'm like 18 to 21, I was just in a constant flow of going to different companies, asking to be hired, working for minimum wage, trying to grind my way up to be of value at some point. And I just spent years spinning my wheels until I found one person at one job that was like, you know what, you need to be doing something bigger, and points me in that right direction. Most of the time, these kids will find fulfillment doing what they actually like doing. And with our process, we can teach them how to do what they love to do and actually turn that into a business. I'll give you an example. I came across a kid who said, I love surfing. I love to surf. I've been surfing since I was a kid. Man, anytime I can, I want to go down to the beach, get my surfboard, and just ride the waves, right? And I'm like, okay, what if I showed you how to turn that into a business? It's like, what? How? Surfing into a business? Yeah. I mean, you got years of experience, right? How many years? He's like, oh, I got like 10 plus years experience already. Okay. Do you think there's kids out there that have never been on a surfboard, that have 0 years experience? Do you think you could teach them something? Like maybe actually how to stand up on a board and ride a wave? Imagine, you could charge for that. People will pay you to do that. That could literally become your business. You're going to the beach and you have little handouts that you give out. You see, moms with their kids saying, hey, I do surfing lessons here on Saturday mornings. It's my way to get on the beach every week. And I have a little class of a bunch of kids that pay a very small fee. Doesn't have to be too crazy. And it'll just continue to grow from there. You could do that with anything. Photography. You like shoes. I remember this one kid at one of our From Orphan to CEO events. I was like, if you had nothing to do on a Saturday afternoon and you actually had some money in the bank, no bills to pay, you had cash in hand, what would you be doing? I'd be at the mall checking out all the shoes. I'm like, okay, what if you did reviews of all your favorite shoes? Just going to the mall, picking one up off a Foot Locker. People will pay you for that. You could be like a secret shopper and get paid to go review shoes. And then companies will literally send you their shoes for free if you make a video about them. So there's all this different ways that, being in this entrepreneurial realm, it gets us thinking outside of the box of the normal thing. You're not going to go just try and find a job at Foot Locker so you can be around shoes all day. No, you're just getting an employee discount on buying shoes, right, trading your time for dollars. You may start there just to kind of get yourself out there and get yourself in that realm. But at some point, the fulfillment comes when you build your own dream.
So what would you say to someone who feels like they're too far behind or too broken, or not worth it or unable to build something meaningful?
Realize how many people have started companies at 60, 70 years old. You're never too far behind. I mean, KFC was started, the guy was like 65, 70, something like that. And we all know KFC, right? And I could list off 100 different ideas and different brands that had a very similar experience. You just need to find true mentorship. Wherever path you are trying to achieve or pursue, there is somebody who's already many steps ahead of you in those arenas. Reach out to them. The best part about today's digital age is we have social media. If you just made a list of all of your favorite people you would love to learn from, connect with, collaborate with, and then just ping them on social media with a short message, hey, I'm really inspired by your journey, your life. I would love to learn from you. What's the best way to do that? And you hit them on Instagram, you hit them on LinkedIn, you hit them on Facebook. You hit up enough people, you're going to get some responses. I have so many people that are like I was talking to a lady this week. She has this I don't know if it's a mentor or inspiration on some idea that she had. And she randomly just inboxed her on Instagram and she actually got a response. And that lady wanted to actually collaborate with her on her next project. And it was just like, for her, it was like, how did this just fall into my lap? Well, you took action. You actually made the connection, right? I like Les Brown as an example, my story, right? I got inspired to become an entrepreneur because of Les Brown. So fast forward, I started my business. I'm a year into my business now. This is 2011. Actually 2012. We're 1 year into the business. And I go to this networking event and I'm talking about my journey. I'm talking about why I started my business. I talk about my business and what I'm doing. And one person there was like, hey, you should be at this really cool event that we're putting on. It's called CEO Space. And he has this guy, Bernie Dorman, give me a call, who's the founder of it. And he's like, oh, yeah, you should totally be at this event. Really great people you're going to be able to connect and collaborate with. And it's only $5,000 to be in the room. I'm like, $5,000? Started my business for less than $5,000. I don't have $5,000. Crazy. And he goes, okay, don't worry, but if you can make it, it'd be great. We're gonna have Les Brown as our keynote speaker. I'm like, wait a second, Les Brown, like that you got to be hungry, Les Brown? And he's like, yeah, that guy. I was like, dude, he's literally at the top of my list of who I would want to meet and actually shake hands with and just thank him for helping me discover that it's possible for me just through a video I watched that my mentor showed me. And long story short, I found a way to get to that. I go there. I meet Les Brown in person. I shake his hand. I do exactly what I was set out to do. Fast forward a couple years later, Les Brown becomes a client of mine. Fast forward from there, Les Brown is speaking at my events. Fast forward from there, 2020 hits. I'm one of the first people he calls to say, Manny, what do I do now? I'm not speaking on stages anymore. And I help him develop his online course that he sells through Zoom and helped him launch that idea. And like now he's spoken at my event like about a dozen times now. He's got a whole class inside of my school, MANNYfestation, where he's teaching our students on how to become excited about life and live life to the fullest. But it all happened because I made a decision that I want to pursue this. I want to create that result. And I found a way to make it happen. There's always a way to win if you're creative enough. So I just found a way to get in that same room where the person I wanted to be mentored from and learn from, I made sure I could make that connection. I just continuously persisted on making that happen. And so you guys watching right now, you may have a journey that you want to pursue. You have a goal you want to actually accomplish in life. Well, there are people that will help you accomplish that goal. Don't do it alone. Doing it alone is like walking through a maze that you have no idea how to get out of. Find somebody who's already accomplished it and pursue their mentorship. That is going to open up doors you would never even seen possible. I've had so many opportunities literally fall in my lap because of one relationship I would have with somebody, one event that I would attend, one event that I would speak at, simply because I showed up. If you stay behind a desk all day and you don't pursue building relationships, it's going to be hard for you to create that success. And for me, I'm always in the focused mindset of serving first. I didn't go to Les Brown and say, hey, Les, I want you to mentor me and, giving him nothing in return. I said, hey, what can I provide as value? And I had something of value that he definitely would need. And I said, I will give that to you for free. Mentor me. He said, done deal. Easy peasy. And that's how the whole journey started. So serving your way to success can truly open those unlockables.
That is some really good information. Some really good, yeah. You don't always want to lead with what can you do for me?
Yeah.
You want to lead with service. How can I be of value to you?
Yeah. If you go into a networking event or business seminar or any way where you're meeting quality people, just find out, what do I have as a skill? Everybody has some genius within them. They may have not discovered it yet. They may not think it's valuable, something that's really easy for them, but there's other people that have no idea how to do that. I'm a young guy. I understood technology very, very early on. For Les Brown, technology is not his forte. The guy's 80 years old now. So, looking at how I could be of value, well, I took technology and said, hey, let me help you in this area that you may be struggling with, and you help me in this area that I'm struggling with. And that's how you create real lasting value. So find out what your genius is and serve first with that.
That's awesome. I've come to several of your speed networking events online, and I saw the one where Les, or at least one of the ones. I don't know how many times he's been there, but I saw the one with Les Brown, and that was very impressive. That was very inspiring. All right, so thank you so much, Manny, for being with us. I really appreciate your time. And everybody out there, remember, be present, be peaceful, be powerful. This has been the Be In podcast. I hope you all stay tuned for the next Be In event, Be Enjoy Boston, on May 10th this year, 2025. We gather to be happy, to spread happiness, and to uplift others. We're creating a little pocket of the world in which we all want to live. Then we're watching it spread. By holding these events regularly in cities across the globe, we create consistent opportunities for people to experience and practice kindness, understanding, and connection. This regular exposure to positive interactions helps shift individual attitudes and behaviors as more people participate, builds collective momentum, challenging the prevailing norms of fear and division. And over time, this creates a cultural shift where empathy and unity become familiar and accepted, influencing how communities engage and how societies operate. But we're going to start somewhere, so we're starting in Boston. May 10th again, 12 to 4, Boston Common near the Parkman Bandstand. And if you're interested, we are currently looking for help. If anybody has a skill they would like to donate, give us a call or a DM. A call. See, that shows I'm a little old. But anyway, remember, guys, that the revolution starts within and with us. You can go to www.be-in-life to find out more about us and join the evolution.